welcome to Leadership in Action, the podcast where we spotlight visionaries transforming our region through innovation, entrepreneurship, and cultural leadership. I'm your host, Amarita, Chief Projects Officer of Action Invest Caribbean Inc. And today I'm joined by Yonnick David, Managing Director of Fusion Hospitality Inc.
Hi, Amrita. How are you?
I'm very well. How about you?
Good, very good.
Excellent. So in this episode, we're going to be exploring how you've built memorable experiences from the ground up, turning cultural storytelling into business value, and of course, the complexities of entrepreneurship with purpose. So we'll dive in. Yannick, could you describe the experiences and influences in your upbringing or your early career that have really transformed you as an entrepreneur?
There have been so many experiences that I've gone through. I've been fortunate to live in another country. I lived in USA, New York for some time, and that's where I developed my entrepreneurial skills. It's been an amazing journey. I think the most important part was me having an open mind and being ready to learn from others. So I've met a lot of people, I network with a lot of people, and what I tried to do was learn at least one thing from each one of them to influence how I would be an entrepreneur.
I like that. I think it's key that with the people who cross our paths that we really take time to learn about who they are and to take away those lessons from them. I'd like to know, what is a pivotal turning point in your journey and how you overcame it? What were some of those key lessons?
I'll give you a story. My first event that I did, it was very ambitious. What I wanted to do, I wanted to bring a bit of the Caribbean to the USA. So I got some designers, Guyanese designers, Jamaican designers, and we brought them to New York to do a fashion show. That show didn't do as well financially, so it was my first event and my first failure, I guess. And I think having the mental fortitude to overcome something like that, because obviously you still have to pay your bills, and trying to figure out how we were going to pay those bills and where we were going to get the money from. I think understanding that there is no giving up, and understanding that you have to look at the difficulty and sort of break it down to the smallest level so that you can handle it in bits and really try to find a positive way out of it. So I think my first lesson was one of failure, and also one of how do you get yourself out of that place of failure. And it was a financial one. So it was a good lesson, and I was encouraged by my mom, friends, family. So I think also having a good support mechanism around you as an entrepreneur helps a great deal.
I think it's key to also recognize some of the principles that are your guiding light in overcoming any failure. So what are some of those personal values or principles that have really guided your decisions during tough times like that?
Yeah. So one of my key principles is to always be as honest as possible. I've learned throughout my career that honesty takes you a far way. Another key principle for me has been about always working super hard. I'm a very hard worker. I'm very dedicated. Once I decided I'm going to do a project, I put my all into it. So hard work is very important as an entrepreneur. The mixture of hard work and honesty, I think you'll be in a good place if once people know that you're reliable and people know that you're a very honest person, they will support you and they'll work with you. I mean, if we track back to the story I told, it was because of honesty and the person I was that allowed all of the people that I owed money to understand and work with me and put together payment plans so we can take care of the expenses.
I agree. It all comes down to integrity.
Yeah, integrity is one of the most important things.
Excellent. So I would love to also explore some of those major trends or opportunities that you've seen in the course of that trajectory, how it has really shaped the industry and Caribbean economy. Tell me how you're adapting the strategy and the learnings that you've had from these experiences.
So I'm coming from a place that's many years ahead. And the idea when I decided that I would move back to Guyana was I can bring all of those lessons here. And I don't know if, when I first thought about it, I don't know if adapt was the word I was looking for, because I was just like, I'm just going to bulldoze my way in and change everything, the way things are done. But yes, at some point, I had to realize that I had to adapt but include some sort of strategy. So I kind of had to tone down the plans and also extend the timeline for the execution of the plans. So if there was a 3-4 year plan, that then became an 8-year plan, which is exactly what happened. One of the plans that I had was to open a restaurant, and that didn't happen until over 10 years afterward from me moving back to Guyana. So I think it's very important for you to have a plan, and it has to be flexible. You have to be able to flex. There was no key point in what that adaptation was. It was just being flexible and then going with the flow. I like to tell people that you have to be like water. You have to flow and be able to flow around the rocks and the difficulties.
I like that. I'm thinking it's really a key principle that you've dedicated your learnings towards. I think I sort of call it a retreat and reinvention. That sometimes you have to really pivot
Yeah.
what you thought your future would look like
Exactly.
in order to reach out into the limelight and to make something a
Yeah.
reality.
But what I've decided to do is change. So a lot of times we know we have a target, but what I've tried to do was to figure out what I like my journey to look like. And I think it allows you if my focus is to enjoy your journey and create things. And so my target can change at any given point in time. So I'm not working to one specific target, but I'm working to creating a journey towards wherever that journey takes me. It's kind of just, I guess it's almost like a hippie, but not really.
Yeah, I understand
Yeah.
it. Yeah. And it comes with a certain approach that one must have when it comes to growth, resilience, in pivoting that organizational initiative that you would like to have, be it in tweaking your objectives and setting your long term plan. So, what are some of those innovative strategies that you credit for driving growth of Fusion Hospitality to?
Um, we we had the opportunity to open a restaurant, and we brought a cuisine type that has never been introduced in Guyana before. So we were faced with a decision of, do we bring something that's never been here before, or do we just do something that's we know for sure that our fellow Guyanese would like and enjoy? And we thought, you know what, let's create some mystery around what we were going to do. And so we put in place a marketing strategy that had lots of information going out, but in small bits and pieces where people became very curious about what we had to do, what we were doing. And then what we did is we started inviting people in to try the food.
You know, I also think the business of food is like change management.
Yeah.
Initially, everyone is skeptical about it, and eventually, when they do try it, it becomes one of the best things they've ever experienced.
Exactly. So we had to really do it a little differently. Instead of just open the restaurant and market it, we brought people in and we cooked for them, and we just created community. At the end of the day, people like hanging out. We're like, come, we'll cook for you, and we cooked something that was different, and everyone will be like, this is really good. What is this? And that's how we grew. We did tons and tons of just small private dinners with people just for them to really enjoy and try what we had.
That sounds so fascinating. I think it shows a lot about how food in itself is people centric. And you touched earlier about achieving success despite financial outcomes, too.
Yeah.
So, how do you define and measure results beyond financial metrics? How has your work contributed to development on any level?
So for us, our staff it's like high priority. So a big part of how we measure is how happy our staff is, how satisfied they are. Do they enjoy their work? Are they willing to learn more? Are they happy with their pay? So that's one of the things that we focus on. Another big metric for us is what a customer feels like after they leave. We love to try to get feedback from customers on their experience at any of our establishments. So that's another big important thing for us. At the end of the day, yes, the dollars and cents matter, but I think the most important thing is how all the human beings around you feel. So you have the people that work with you, and then you have the people that come to experience what you have to offer. And if both of them are happy, I think you're in a good place.
I think it speaks to the opportunities as well that we want to create for our Guyanese people, people in the Caribbean that are coming to experience what is a culinary tourism product too. So, what are some of the opportunities and challenges that you're seeing in Guyana and the Caribbean?
So I'll start with challenges. The major challenges for us would be a supply chain because our a lot of the ingredients that we use aren't generally available in Guyana. A great lot of them are, but there are some key specific ingredients. So supply chain has always been an issue. But I think as more restaurants open up and more hotels open up, that'll change because they will all require similar ingredients and so on. Opportunity for the region, the opportunity is huge. We know that a lot of our sister countries are very tourism heavy. So they've already kind of jump started in the tourism thing. Guyana is growing, so our opportunity is huge as far as tourism is concerned. Piggybacking off of the popularity, the additional, I feel like Guyana has been popular way before oil and gas, right? But oil and gas has given us additional popularity, and I think piggybacking off of that, that's a huge opportunity to really market everything else that Guyana has, market its people, its food, its culture, its nature. So I think that is very, very huge opportunity for us. And that translates to the rest of the Caribbean as well, because the more eyes that are in Guyana, they'll also be in other places in the Caribbean.
I notice we all have a habit of saying that we want to put Guyana on the map. So it's a refreshing perspective to
Yeah.
hear you say
We've
that.
been in the
No,
map.
yeah, we've been
Yeah.
there, we've been there, and to see how you are also placing and amassing your footprint in the culinary industry too is fantastic. What are the key roles you see that entrepreneurs and leaders can play in those challenges and amongst those opportunities?
I think major for an entrepreneur is every challenge is an opportunity for an entrepreneur. So there's an entrepreneur out there that might be able to, I don't know, that might be able to find yellow chili peppers and say, listen, let me try to grow yellow chili peppers in Guyana and be the sole supplier of Nikkei. And they'll have a customer every single day of the week. So I think for entrepreneurs, we have to look at difficulties and figure out how do we monetize or make that difficulty a business. For leaders, they need to work with the entrepreneurs and listen to our issues, listen to the problems that we have, and try their best to put policies in place to make our road a little smoother. A lot of times we have a tendency of looking at leaders that, you need to do everything, but I think the job is on us to make sure we get things done, and it's on them to ensure that they support us so that we can have an easier way or easier road of getting things done.
The mindset shift is something that also plays a role in how entrepreneurs and leaders perform amongst these challenges and entrepreneurs. What is one piece of advice or a sort of mindset shift that you would encourage to aspiring entrepreneurs, current leaders who want to make a difference?
Um, we have to be open to change. We have to be patient. We have to have empathy. I think that's just a few. Empathy is a big one from the entrepreneurial perspective and a leadership perspective. We have to understand the things that people around us are going through, especially as a leader. If you're leading a group of 50 people, you have to understand each and every one of them has other issues that they'll deal with. So you have to be empathetic towards them so that you can properly lead them. And in business as well, you really just have to understand the issues that people go through. So I think empathy is a big one. It's a huge one for me.
And of course, Yannick, we want to take a page out of your book. So, what are those daily habits and routines you credit for keeping yourself grounded and continuously learning?
Um, Curiosity, um, uh, a hunger for helping people. I think one of the biggest part of, I think one of the happiest I am as an entrepreneur is that I'm able to provide, I don't know, I think we're at 58 odd families with a chance to have, I guess, a better life. So I think my focus is on helping people, ensuring that people creating employment and ensuring that people are in a better place. For me, that's what keeps me grounded, understanding that my purpose is to help others.
I think that's an impressive value chain, seeing how you've aligned that to what you do on a day to day and also relate it to your personal
Yeah.
life. If you could go back in time and give yourself, your younger self,
Mhm.
one piece of advice at the start of your career, what would that be?
Uh, if I can go back and give younger Yannick one piece of advice, it'll probably be spend less money on frivolous things. I had a very, very active younger life. And I mean, I was an entrepreneur from early. I was in networking. I was running around in lots of cool circles. And I think I kind of spent too much money on frivolous things.
We all have our vices, don't
Yeah, yeah,
we?
yeah, yeah, yeah. But I think that would be the main thing because I feel like I've been the same person for forever. So nothing else would need to change. I think I've led a very interesting, fun life. I've always had empathy. I've always cared more about others than myself. I think that's grounded in my childhood as well. Growing up in the Scout Association, I was a scout since I was 7. So a lot of those qualities have been instilled in me from a child.
I like the reflection on your early childhood days, and that also brings a question, especially having touched on, the difficult times. What is something tremendous that you've experienced to this day that is really a guiding light for you? How has it transformed your perspective?
100% my time as a scout. It's I think that is the most influential stage of my life. I think the best thing was that I started at a very young age. So in scouting, they teach you it's all about leadership, it's all about teamwork, and these things are taught to you from jump. And these are qualities that they become part of you, they become embedded in you. So no matter where you go, those qualities stick with you. And they're really tested, and they were tested. So I would have to give my time as a scout as that moment or the most influential period of my life.
I think there are just some memories that really stick with you for life, and I can see that that's
Yeah,
one of them.
the entire experience.
Incredible. And speaking of experiences, in time come, I think even on to now, we've had people come in and out of our lives, and some who are extraordinarily impactful. Who's been the most influential mentor or role model in your life?
I've had a couple. I was fortunate to meet a gentleman by the name of Ray Letourneau in New York. He was this huge Wall Street guy, sold his company for millions upon millions of dollars. And we spent a lot of time together doing some of our vices. I worked in nightlife, so a lot of my time was spent in clubs and bars, and I literally met him in a bar. And I think he was probably my first investor as well. We got to know each other, and one day he called my phone. He's like, "Let's go to breakfast." I'm like, "Breakfast?" He's never a morning guy. So we went to breakfast, and we had breakfast, and he's like, "We're gonna go to the Apple store. We're gonna go to B&H, which is this huge photography store." And he's like, "You just buy all the equipment you need to start this project that I had told him about." And the first project that I did as with an investor was just him saying, "Let's just go buy you the stuff." So I learned a lot from him. He gave me a lot of financial advice. He had lots of rules about percentages and how much you give and how much you keep. He also gave me the best advice of understanding that as I grew as a person, I will lose a lot of people along the way, just because views are different. And if I really want to achieve something, I have to be willing to let go of parts of me that kind of were fun, which was came to pass. He was very influential. And then I had another mentor, Ranch Path. He had a very interesting company where he took popular music, pop music, and he remixed them Desi. He was from India, so he remixed them Desi, and he this crazy platform, and it made tons of money. Like he worked with Rihanna and Justin Bieber. It's pretty cool. So I've had pretty cool mentors that have taught me a lot. Ranj taught me. Ranj was very charismatic. So he taught me how to network, how to speak with people, how to go in a room and move around the room. So I had two very solid mentors growing up.
That's impressive. I think I really like the distinction in your role models. I think it's nice to see the synergy of the creative industries as
Yeah.
well in what you do. So tell me, your personal life, having all of these enriching experiences, there must have been a way that at some point you've had to implement on your day to day strategies for managing your well being with the demands of entrepreneurship, work life. What's that been like?
It's been a tough journey. It's been a journey. There were there were periods where I was just going. I was not paying attention to health and wellness. Then I had a bit of a down period, just mentally tired. And then I think at that point I realized that there needed to be balance. So balance is very important. So I had to understand that balance was important. So I kind of like adjusted how I ate, um, adjusted as much as possible my sleep. I started working out a lot. It took a lot of discipline, but balance was important. But what I did is I would enroll myself in these little competitions like the Spartan races and stuff to kind of force myself to have to train for the races. I made sure I knew that if I was where I lacked in sleep, I had to make up in nutrition. So I had very, I want to say regimented, but very serious diets where I made sure I ate very highly nutritious food. And I think that that was the balance for me. Just trying as best as possible to keep my body as properly fueled as possible.
I remember hearing that they say that anything good comes with a price of inconvenience in the beginning. And I think this is a perfect example. And it was so incredible of you to be authentic about your experiences because in the beginning, it can always feel like it's overwhelming to put effort into things that make you feel good up until you reach this benchmark where that's just your ordinary. Great. And as a person, beyond your business goals, what drives that sense of purpose in your work?
Beyond my business goals, I think as a person, I love happiness. So because of the type of business person I am or entrepreneur, working makes me happy. So just waking up every day and knowing that I have a goal to accomplish today, that really pushes me. Being able to accomplish those goals, those things really push me. And just knowing that I have a family that's looking at me to that's cheering me on. Fortunately, I'm not in a position where I have a family that's dependent on me yet. Kids will probably be coming very soon. But I think it's just knowing that I wake up every day ready to enjoy what I do. I know I have younger siblings. I have a younger brother who's an entrepreneur now. So every day I wake up, I know I have to set an example for him as well. He calls me every day with a problem for me to help him solve it. So I really want to demonstrate to him, and I have been demonstrated to him, and he's vocalized how much I've demonstrated to him what it takes to be an entrepreneur. So it's just those little nuances that just keeps you going. I've never really sat and thought about all the exact things that keep me going, but just off the cuff of my head, that's
I think it's a wonderful example. You've really touched on the familial and, of course, having a personal mission that is embedded in your work life. I think that's what really just makes life.
yeah.
And finally, Yannick, looking ahead 5 to 10 years from now, what legacy or impact do you hope to leave?
5 years, 5 to 10 years from now, I hope that people can use my story, um, my example of how I led life, to really try to impact positive change wherever they are. At the end of the day, it's yeah, it's entrepreneurship, it's making money, it's starting businesses, but it's also just being that person that leaves a positive mark. One of the principles of Skelton is leaving wherever you go better than how you met it. And if we all had that same principle in life, the world would be such a better place. So if everyone that I touch can kind of learn and understand that and make an effort to leave something better than they left it, at least the next generation will have something great to inherit.
It's very empowering, Yannick. Thank you for sharing that with us.
You're welcome.
Great. And Yannick, thank you so much for sharing your remarkable journey. I've thought that, from curating nightlife in New York to really creating cultural experiences in Guyana's helped to shape its identity. So, what more powerful than that when it came to grit, cultural authenticity?
Yeah.
So, thank you again and for being a guest on
Thank
Leadership
you
in
for having
Action.
me.
Excellent.
Thanks.
Great. And that wraps up our conversation with Yonnick David, Managing Director of Fusion Hospitality, Inc. A big thank you to Yonnick for sharing his journey. His leadership exemplifies how visionary thinking, cultural, and entrepreneurial power can really converge to create unforgettable experiences. And if you found value in today's episode, please subscribe, leave a review, and share it with your network. Stay tuned for more conversations with the leaders who are driving innovation across the Caribbean. This is Leadership in Action. And until next time, keep leading with purpose.